Bags down, spikes on. Welcome to the track. Hi, my name's Colin Weitzman, and I'm going to be your host for this episode of Track World News. And man, do we have a lot of things to get into. Milrose Games, college power rankings, whole lot of stuff going down this week. But before we get into any of that, make sure that you leave a like, subscribe, leave a review. All of that great stuff for the channel really helps us know that you're enjoying the content that we're pushing out. And let's get into it. So on the Milrose Games side, there was a lot of really great events that were going on. And it was super cool because I actually was lucky enough to go and travel to the Milrose Games and be able to be there live in person. If you want to see a vlog of that and capturing everything that happened at the Milrose Games, go and check us out on our YouTube channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, go and check us out. The video is probably recommended already, but it was a really cool experience. It was my first ever time at Milrose Games. It was a little wild getting there because there was so much snow, but finally actually going there, it was awesome because there were so many top tier athletes competing. And where I want to start off with is probably the one that everyone is wanting to hear, and that is with the men's 60. So first, I have to issue an apology for Christian Coleman. I had him pegged for getting third place, and he ended up shocking the world, not shocking the world, but shocking myself, and ending up getting the win with a time of 6.49 seconds. Brumell was second with a time of 6.5, and then Baker was third with a time of 6.54. They had the splits for every 10 meters, and those three guys were in first, second, and third from the jump. So it was the exact same order from the second the gun went off. That's who ended up winning. And so this is obviously, the return of Christian Coleman. And a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on what it means for the sport, what it means for himself. He gave himself an A- for the race. I'm not on the A- train. I'm thinking it was probably a B- race. Why? Because he has so much talent, and this is just the beginning. And his form was breaking down a little bit. Yes, it's great to win, but I also try to think of it and put into perspective of if he ran a 6.49, but we saw Trayvon Brumell run a 6.47, and we saw Ronnie Baker run a 6.48. Are we saying that he had such a great race? I don't know. I think the fact that he wins with the 6.49 is what we're saying is such a great race. But we have to remember, he's ran 6.3 before. And so, yes, he hasn't been in the race shape for a while. Obviously, he's been training, but he hasn't been competing. And so, yes, you have to take all of that into consideration. I get it. I completely understand. And I still recognize how good this guy is as an athlete. That saying this was an A race is capping him at a much lower level than he really is. I think he's a much better runner than a 6.49. I mean, obviously it's the beginning of the year, but he's got plenty of time to improve. It was really cool because this was really the lead up for the entire Milrose Games. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to go and see this competition. And it was a shame because Marvin Bracey wasn't in this race. He pulled out the day before because he was feeling some tweaks during the warm-ups and the day before, and he just didn't want to get into that type of thing, which I don't blame you. You don't want to have any injuries in the beginning of the season and then completely derail this year, especially seeing where he came from last year. He definitely doesn't want to go through that again, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to go through that as well. But yeah, Christian Coleman returns, and the question is, is this going to be the mark for the rest of the year? Is this the storyline for the rest of 2022 that Christian Coleman is going to be the person to beat for all of sprinting this year? And so for indoors, I think it's a lot easier to say yes. And for outdoors, I'm not completely sold on it yet. So for indoors, Trayvon Brumell already announced that he's not planning on running at the World Championships this year. So that's one of his top competitors not going to be doing indoors. Why? Because he's already won at World Indoors. He doesn't want to do it again. Christian Coleman is saying that he is going to run in indoors, which I think is a good idea. He needs to get as many races under his belt as possible, and so competing in World Indoors is going to be great for him. I'm We're guessing that Ronnie Baker probably will be doing the 60. It's his bread and butter, and I wouldn't be too surprised if Marvin Bracey ends up doing it as well. So while all of these guys are very, very, very good, I think Coleman has a higher ceiling than all these guys. I mean, Christian Coleman is the world record holder, and he's the world record holder for a reason. All of these other people can run very fast. I mean, it's crazy because Ronnie Baker gets overshadowed. Like, he ran 6'4" in the same race that Christian Coleman ran, or the same year, yeah, the Christian Coleman ran the world record. And so he gets overshadowed, even though he has the third fastest time ever. It's just like an afterthought of that, oh yeah, Ronnie Baker, he's in there somewhere. I think that comes from the fact that he hasn't won a world championship or an international title yet. He's been getting in fourth a lot of these times, and so he needs to be able to break into that mold. But I'm thinking Coleman's definitely going to be able to take over the indoor sprint. I mean, the 60 is really where he shines, and then outdoors, the field's wide open. I mean, we don't even know who everyone is that's going to be competing. You're going to have a lot more college guys that are going to be running, a lot more of those younger athletes that were doing very well last year that are going to really start hitting their stride this season. We saw Arian Knighton. Who knows what Noah Lyles is going to be able to do? You obviously have the international scene where you have up in Canada, you've got some great athletes in Italy. We're seeing some sprinters, obviously. In China, there's a couple good sprinters there. So there's a lot of athletes that are going to be challenging Coleman by the time outdoors comes. For indoors, I feel like he's got a little bit of a better road for glory because the 60 is what his thing is. But for outdoors, I think it's going to be really, really close. Luckily, he already has a bid for the World Championships outdoors, so he's not going to have to worry about that. U.S. has 4 athletes that are going to be going because Coleman won in 2019, so he gets the auto bid for this season. Taking a look at some other races that we saw at the Millrose Games, Aaliyah Hobbs ended up winning the women's 60 with a time of 7.11. She extends her unbeaten streak for this year. This is her second race. She ran what was the world leading time in the 60 before at, I think it was just a regular 7.1, and then it is now the second fastest time, but still running really great. That's not the story from this race, though. Shanti Jackson, high schooler, ends up getting third place, running a time of 7.18. It's the high school national record, breaking Ashley Owen's time from 2004 with a time of 7.19. And so this girl's fast. I mean, she's got some crazy speed. She's shown that she's really good over the 60, as well as I think she's even doing the 300 at the Grand Prix. So she's coming back to New York next week. So she's got some crazy speed. I mean, this is the future of American sprinting, I feel. And it was interesting because a few weeks ago, if you listened, I had Justin Braun co-hosting an episode, who's a high school sprinter right now, commit to USC. And he was talking like this high school class has some real potential to be rivaling that 2016 class that we saw that had, what was it? Lyles, Holloway, I think Ry Benjamin was in that class. And so he's saying like, this year has an opportunity to actually really rival one of the greatest sprinting classes we've seen. And seeing what these runners are doing, I believe them. Like, there's some really great talent coming out this year, and I'm excited to see what's going to end up happening. I mean, people are forgetting Slade would have been a senior this year. He's already a pro. Is Arian Knighton? I think Arian Knighton would have been a senior in this class as well. He's already turned pro, so there's a lot of really, really great runners in this class. I'm excited to see where they're going to go. Turning it over to the distance side, Elle Purrier St. Pierre wins the Wanamaker Mile for the women. She was leading the entire time. The only person to ever be ahead of her was the Rabbit for the first half mile. But she runs a time of 4 minutes, 19 seconds, which is the world leading time currently. And she's just showing that she's clearly the best American distance runner that we have right now. Top 10, 15 miler in the world. Her dominance over the U.S. distance has really been seen. Josette Norris ends up getting second with a PR of 4 minutes and 20 seconds. The real story, though, that a lot of people were talking about comes from a lady that actually didn't even finish the race, and that's Athing Mu. So Athing Mu, obviously, she was the world record holder, not world record holder, sorry. She was a national record in the 800 for college, gold medalist in the Olympics in the 800. Was it the anchor leg, which she was anchor leg on the women's 4x4 that also won the gold medal at the Olympics. And she was a freshman in college, taking classes at Texas A&M not too long ago. And she has now extended her repertoire to try out the mile. And so a lot of people were excited to see what's going to happen. I was as well, because you have a lady that, is she going to be someone that's going to be on the podium of the 1500 and also anchoring the 4x4 at the same Olympics? Like, this is crazy. Like, is she going to be able to actually do this at the World Championships this year? And she lines up, and for the first half of the race, she's looking really good. She was right up there in the first pack. She was in 5th, 6th, 7th in that first group. She was running to win. And so it was really looking like, okay, she's going for this. She has an opportunity. And then as the race continued to go on, El Purrier St. Pierre started kind of extending her lead. The runners kind of started separating from each other. And she was fading pretty quickly. And then before the last mile, so two laps left to go, she ended up actually stepping off the track and didn't complete the race. It didn't look like she was injured. She seems to be fine. Might have just been, hey, her fitness wasn't there and she didn't want to, keep fading back, and she knew it wasn't going to be a good time. That's what I think probably happened. But what does that race mean? What does it mean that she steps off the race? Is she the first person to ever not finish a race? No. Is she the last person to ever not finish a race? No. There's plenty of people that have done this before, and I don't think that it's too crazy. Like, it's not like, oh, it's unbelievable. I think it just means that she's not ready to do that extent yet. Like, we need to remember that she's still, 19 years old? She would be a sophomore in college right now. And so to expect a sophomore in college to be elite, like world-class, top 5 in the world in a 400, and then also be top 5 in the world in the 1500, at 19 or 20 years old is crazy. But Athing Mu is that good that people are like, yeah, it's definitely possible that she could do it. And I was part of that. I put her to win. I thought she was going to end up getting the gold here, because every time she's shown that she's racing, she just proves people wrong. I mean, this was her first loss since she came in second in college in the indoor 400 at nationals. That's the only time she has lost since that race. So it's been over 500 days. She's just been that dominant across everything that she's done. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, why can't she? I mean, she's doing what Sifan Hassan is doing, just in a little bit extended. So instead of from 400 to 1500, she's doing it from 1500 to 10K. And she's a little bit older. She has more experience, so she kind of knows how to do this whole thing. But I wouldn't be too surprised if we see Athing Mu by the time 2024 hits. It's Paris. We're seeing her lining up in the 4x4 as well as on the 1500 meter line. She has that talent. I mean, she ran the mile in high school. Like, she's done it. This isn't like something completely brand new to her. I just don't think she's ready for it at this exact moment. And I don't think that's too crazy to say. But I believe she will be there very shortly. And I'm really excited for when she does, because she is an exciting person to watch compete. Next thing, want to kind of switch gears and go over to college track and field. So this story, or this thing that's going on, is really, really impressive for me. So right now, North Carolina A&T is number 1 in my power rankings. So let me go over who I have for the men's side right now. So in first place, North Carolina A&T. Second place, Georgia. Then NAU, Texas Tech, Texas, Tennessee, Nebraska, and then Grand Canyon University running out the top 8. And this is the third week straight that North Carolina A&T has been number 1. So it's not like some fluke like, oh yeah, they're number 1 early in the season and then everyone else competes and so everyone catches up to them and they're gone. No, that's not the case. They're number 1 and they've sustained being number 1 throughout the meat of this season. Like by now, everyone that is good has competed. Like there is not one athlete that is a top caliber athlete in the NCAA that hasn't ran already. The year is almost over, so everyone's trying to get their marks so they can qualify for nationals. And so they're leading at a time that it is very important to be leading in these rankings. And people aren't realizing how impressive this is. The last non-Power 5 school to win an indoor national title was George Mason in 1996. To put that into perspective, none of the athletes competing, there isn't one athlete competing that was born or that was alive in 1996. In all of NCAA track and field, every single person, none of them have seen a Power 5 champion, a non-Power 5 champion, win an indoor title. That's how long this has been. And so this is something that's really impressive. Oh, but wait, let's take it one more step. When was the last time that an HBCU won a national title? In fact, when was the last time they won an outdoor national title or an indoor national title? You know what? Let's take it one more step. When was the last time that an HBCU came top 2? Never. They never won a national title. So this is going to be historic if North Carolina A&T can win an indoor national team title. And they're positioned to do it. They have a fantastic team of athletes, and I really like the fact that they don't have just one person that they're hoping to do it all. Like if it was like, hey, we need Randolph Ross to do well in 4 events, then I always get a little weary of that because you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. It's nice to have it spread out and not have to depend all on one person. And they don't. They have a variety of athletes in the 60, the 200, the 400, even I think the long jump as well. And then, of course, the 4x4 that they don't have to rely on just one person to do it. And I think indoor is when they're actually going to have a really good chance at winning this thing. Because outdoors, there's a lot more events that are added that aren't really their strong suits. You have more throws, you have more distance events, and they're really sprint heavy. So an indoor title is where I think they're going to get it. And I feel this is their best year. Because this is going to be Randolph Ross's last year. I'm not sure exactly on his eligibility, but I don't see a way that Randolph Ross is going to be coming back unless he really, really wants to, because he's going to have some great opportunities to run professionally next year, I'm sure of it. And so they have an opportunity to really shock the world, and I hope to God that they actually do it, because this would be monumental and fantastic for North Carolina A&T. On the women's side, Florida is leading. There's really not too much to talk about with Florida. They're so good. To put into perspective how good Florida is right now and how far ahead these ladies are compared to everyone else, they could have or split their team in half for the athletes that they're sending. Split them in half. And they could still potentially go 1-2. That's how good they are right now. Like, they have so much talent. They had Jasmine Todd, who just broke the triple jump national record. You have Anna Hall, who is a top-level athlete in the pentathlon as well as the high jump. And now that Tyra Gittens isn't competing in college, she's just skyrocketed up the rankings. You have Taylor Manson. You have Diggs. I mean, that's just to name just a few. Like, there's so many athletes that they have. I mean, they're projected to get nearly 90 points right now. And then the next is Arkansas, who's around 40. So they're really, really have a chance to do something special. And I'm hoping to see just a crazy number get dropped by them, because they have the talent to just drop insane times right now. So looking forward to seeing how that works out. And looking at some of these athletes, Matthew Bowling, like he right now I think is my favorite for the Bowerman on the men's side. He just dropped a 20.27, which is really, really fast. And to put into perspective, like he is pacing right now, which is weird to say, pretty well for the national record. So Elijah Hall broke the national record in 2018 with a time of 20.02 seconds. It was at the national championships indoors. And he started off the season running a 20.76. And Matthew Bowling, he ran a 20.27 this week. And his opener, though, was a 20.52. So he's running faster in the beginning of the year than Elijah Hall was when he broke the national record. Does that mean that he's automatically going to get it now? Of course not. Like, there's still a lot of work that has to be done. You don't know where he's peaked. And also the big difference between him and Elijah Hall is that Elijah Hall was a sprinter and focused only on sprinting. He was doing the 60 and the 200 primarily. I can't remember if he did the 4x4, but let's even say he did. I don't think he did, but let's even say he did. We have Matthew Bowling that's going to be adding another thing that can't be overlooked when you're trying to break national records. Like, he's also competing in the long jump. So he's doing the 60, he's doing the 200, he's doing the 4x4, and he's doing the long jump. And so all of those events are going to be taking a little bit extra time that he won't be able to be focusing on the sprints. And it's like, yeah, the more stuff you add, the more difficult it is to specialize in one thing because there's only so much time in the day. And so I'm interested to see if he'll break the national record, and I think it kind of depends on what his focus is going to be. If he wants to focus on winning a national title, which Georgia can do. I mean, they're second right now, and they're very, very close to North Carolina A&T. It is not like Florida, where they're just like have an easy road to easy street. Like, they are very, very close. So if he wants to try to get that team title and not really focus as getting the national record, and it's like, hey, if it happens, it happens, then I don't think that he'll necessarily get it. But if he's like, hey, look, like, I really kind of want to focus on getting this national record, and focus more on that than on long jump, then he has a really good shot. But it's like he's doing so much because he's the Swiss Army knife right now. He's good at almost everything he does. And so that all takes time. When you're that good, it's like you have issues that you gotta do. You know, it's and luckily they're good issues to have. It's much better to be like, man, I'm too good at this event. Do I want to focus on that or do I want to focus on something else? Like, that's a good problem to have. But Matthew Bowling, he's having an electric year, and there's a lot of athletes that are doing pretty crazy things. On the women's side, here we'll go over the power rankings. Number 1, Florida. Number 2, Arkansas. Then Texas, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, BYU, LSU, and Kentucky. So a lot of great athletes that have been competing. Excited to see what next week holds. Upcoming, we have the New Balance Grand Prix, which I will be attending. So we're going to have probably another vlog that's going to be going on, most likely. And then we're probably going to get some nice coverage of the competition. I know that Trayvon Bromell will be doing the 200 at that race, or at that meet. And then there will be, I'm not sure who's doing the 60, but there's going to be some 60. We're going to be seeing Noah Williams, who's going to be opening up with the 400, as well as I think Bryce Hoppel and a few others that are going to be doing some distance races. So make sure you're tuned into that. And yeah, this has been another episode of Track World News. I hope that you enjoy. If you want more content, go and follow us on Instagram at Track World News. If you're listening to the audio version and you want to see more content as well, go and look at us up on YouTube, Track World News right there. We post these videos or sort of the visual version of the vlog or visual version of the podcast. And we also have a couple other things that are going up there with vlogs. I'm trying to get more active, so there's not a ton of editing genius going on here. It's pretty much just me and the camera, but we are definitely going to be focusing a little bit more on YouTube as we move forward here. But that's going to be it for me. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Peace.